it shouldn't even be an issue. Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, we're talking about how they push it on us, and it's all just to taking the law out of from the jury,
from the court.
just
yeah. Well, and from the rule of law, and making it an administrative process that they put into the corporate structure, and that way nobody even has the chance to go into anything that looks like a court of law for a wrong that was done. And the whole program incentivizes wrongs, right?
Right.
Because a person of ethnicity, a person of color, a person of a certain sexuality, they can look at the white man who's a heterosexual male and say whatever they want to about him doing something, right? And they will always be rewarded and privileged for that. And the one who's doing it is always going to be taking away the rights of the other, right? And the thing is like, so Oracle and I were actually invited to go speak in front of a courthouse in downtown Hendersonville. Might have been in the springtime, but definitely by early summer. And they were talking about the DEI because people were protesting that the city itself, the government corporate body of the city, was paying $200,000 for this DEI training and these DEI courses. And they're like, hey, that's not where our city taxes should go. We're protesting the fact that you're using our city taxes to pay for this. And when they were doing that down at the city, Hendersonville City Council meetings, one of the things that the council told them and that people told them talking to them is the reason they're paying this is because of what happened with George Floyd. And they don't wish to have another George Floyd situation go on. And think about that for a minute, because they're taking the court of law, they're taking your right to access a court of law when somebody harms you through the act of discrimination. They're turning it into an administrative process. And then they're using the fact that the government would not uphold the law and arrest a cop who murdered somebody and everybody witnessed it as the reason to take away your rights to go into a court of law.
Yeah.
So if it didn't make me laugh, it'd make me cry. Anyways, I'm getting a little loopy. Alice, I love you, buddy. I'm hopping off here. Everybody, thanks for coming out. David, hope you come back next week and tell us, what happened.
Don't be in jail.
Right. But for real, if they threaten you with contempt, man, tell them that you are peaceful and that you have no intention of being contemptuous, right? And that you do not appreciate feeling threatened by physical harm. They're going to stop real quick. Dude, it's been so long since I've seen them threaten people, man. When I was in there for the traffic thing, he was as nice as could be to me. There was not one threat. I mean, at least in like talking and going back and forth, very, very professional and business-like.
He said, I got something for you to try on. Go ahead and try these on. Right click.
Was he white?
Yeah. South Carolina.
Were there any non-white employees of the court?
Probably. I wasn't looking that close, man.
Yeah, because they're trying to push on into the same culture. They went off at Peter Thiel for saying, what the hell is the point of having people that look different but think alike? As a response to this whole diversity thing.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's kind of the issue. The other issue is right now they're getting rid of affirmative action through the courts. Right. Okay, the courts, and the reason that the courts are basically doing that is because they're saying there's not a problem with discrimination on that kind of level, that it's required. Right. So it doesn't need to exist anymore because there's not a problem with that situation where it's not required. It doesn't exist on a level where they have to enforce it. Right. The right is basically self-enforcing at that point. Right. Just like when the Pleadings in English Act expired, they didn't make another statute to say, hey, you have to speak the language of whoever's in the court before you. They never had to write another statute about that because that was just the law, right? It was the very well-established law because it exercises rights for people. You know, it was the same thing with that. This isn't enough of a problem. It's expired. No requirement for it because in law, people have these rights.
So there's a minimum threshold in order for them to enforce affirmative action.
From what I understand, in several cases lately, one involved Harvard, but the Supreme Court basically said, yeah, you know, there's no sign of the type of discrimination where affirmative action would have to be enforced. And the other thing beyond that is that because of affirmative action, you're making them base their recruitment decisions on inherently racial features, right? Like, which is kind of the exact opposite of what it was intended for.
You discriminate against Asian kids just to prove you're not discriminating against black kids, right?
Exactly. And this is one thing that kind of gives me confidence, is because they're taking these statutes away at the same time they're doing this stuff like DEI. And I think that that's kind of done on purpose because the law says one thing, but they have to get us to submit to their administration. They have to get us to purchase their DEI programs at $9 billion a year. They have to get us to ask them to do this to us. And I really do think that a lot of people aren't going for it. If there's a silent majority, right, we really got to have a vocal minority on this idea that the people should be able to access the courthouse, even if they don't have a law degree, and that they should be able to prosecute verified claims, even if they're against government officials. They should be able to prosecute those verified claims before a jury if any fact is in controversy, and they should be able to access a court of record to place their facts upon the record if the claim goes unanswered. Right? Because once they place their facts upon the record of the courts, they can move for a true and lawful judgment in law. And then you're talking about law, baby. Here's the facts. The facts are Tyler Ray took documents out of the estate file to deny Joni her right to execute Henry's estate. Here are the facts. Tyler Ray took the record out of the lawsuit when he was getting sued for altering the record in the estate file to deny Joni her rights. And he denies her a right to access a court again by taking away the verification of service. Yeah. Either Joni has a right to go and prosecute those wrongs from somebody who threw her in jail, who had to sign off on her to go to jail, to still over $360,000 from her dad, who she had a power of attorney for, right? Like, if we cannot prosecute a wrong like that without the legal society or the government's permission, your society is going to be fucked. It's already there. But if you could prosecute a wrong like that without the legal society or the government's permission, you could change the entire corruption scheme of America around in a year. I guarantee it. And the choice is now. And with that, Monarch's got a big flyer to pass around to everybody. I got a lot of work to do. I'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. We're kicking off. All right. Have a good night, everybody.
What's your flyer?
Surprise. You'll see it.